Hello everyone, welcome back to Note to Self. Today's episode is the art of self-love after trauma, rebuilding from the inside out. I think we've all heard the quote, happiness is an inside job. I'm going to really be digging into how you can begin to work on yourself to wire in more self-love, more confidence, more grace for yourself after going through something very uncomfortable in life. I'm going to give a trigger warning right off the bat because I'm probably going to talk about my own personal experiences, and that would be being in an abusive relationship in the past and also recently losing my brother to cancer. So before we dive into that today, just tune into your heart and see if this episode feels like something that will support you. I'm going to be opening my heart and sharing everything that I've got to give today in order to inspire you and motivate you on what's possible for you when navigating different types of big life transitions that can kind of shake the foundation. So before I dive in, I want to let you know that May Magic is presently on, and this is a very special life coaching promotion that I'm doing where you set the budget, you set the intentions, and you set the level of support that you'd like, and I get back to you within 72 hours with a personalized, specialized coaching package just for you. So you can click the form down in the show notes or the description box, and I can't wait to work with you. So let's dig into today's topic. It is a big one, right? I think we can all relate to having something happen in our lives that shakes our foundation. But one thing that I want to share with you is that anything that happens in your life that feels like it guts you, right? Like if you think about it, just kind of digs in and it purges something out of you. Maybe that's a breakup of some kind. Maybe that's losing a job. When we feel gutted, that's our opportunity to fill ourselves up. Or if we feel like something has been demolished in our lives or a part of ourselves has been demolished, that's when we get the grand opportunity to rebuild. Think Phoenix rising from the ashes. This is our opportunity to rise and shine and claim a new version of ourselves. I know how sticky and uncomfortable and icky rock bottoms can feel. I've been there a couple of times myself. But one thing that I know for sure is that I've always grown into a more radiant, beautiful, happy, fulfilled version of myself, and that's been the greatest gift. Freedom is on the other side of this. So let's get into the impact of trauma on self-worth. This is important to understand because, as always with the neuroscience of change, I like to bring forth an understanding of what's happening inside of our minds and our bodies when we go through different changes in our lives. And specifically, I want to speak into the impact of trauma on self-worth. So trauma can rewire the brain. It can rewire how things work. It can affect the amygdala, which is our fear center, and our hippocampus, and that affects self-worth and emotional regulation. So I'm going to share a recent example with you of losing my brother Kale. Instantly, that pain, that void of losing my brother felt like the earth had crumbled beneath me, or like a rug was pulled underneath me. And I went from feeling like I knew myself and I was a confident version of myself to being like, I don't even understand what's going to happen now. I don't know what life is going to look like. I had all these questions. So much was rearranging within me. And it affected my self-worth, my confidence. It affected emotional regulation. I was releasing or grieving, feeling so many things that felt like it was more of a portal that was experiencing emotions versus being Zoe. It was quite intense there for a couple of weeks. So common after effects of experiencing trauma of any kind, I spoke into loss, but this could be divorce, this could be losing a job, this could be an injury. Common after effects are hypervigilance, shame, and self-abandonment. So I'll also share another example with you of when I personally hit a type of rock bottom was over a decade ago when I left an abusive relationship. So it was a conscious choice to leave, but in that I felt like I didn't recognize myself anymore. That's why I chose to leave, was because I had a bit of a breakdown and I just couldn't understand how my life got to that point, and I felt like I wasn't connected to Zoe anymore. And so that deeply affected my self-worth, the way that I viewed myself, my self-image. But again, breaking free from that and healing the trauma, healing what had happened, healing my body, mind, and soul, I became so close with myself, and I have not experienced anything like that ever since. So wherever you find yourself, I want to acknowledge you and validate, of course, everything that you've been through and how challenging different life circumstances can feel. But I want you to know that you are so capable. You are so capable of walking away. You are so capable of healing. You are so incredibly capable of making this next chapter of life your best era yet. So ultimately, healing is remembering your inherent worth, remembering your power, remembering who you truly are, remembering just different powers and aspects of the self. Like the body has the power to heal itself. You scrape your finger on a piece of paper and it can miraculously heal in a couple of days. There is an intelligence that is working with you, within you, that is reminding you of how powerful you are every single moment of every single day. So don't forget that. Next here, I want to dive into redefining self-love. So self-love is deeper than affirmations. It's more so a way of being. It is boundaries. It is self-compassion. It is truth-telling. It is honoring yourself and how you feel. So wherever you find yourself right now, in your self-love journey, what are you being prompted to look at, to accept, to understand? I know for myself, one of the most challenging parts of deepening the love that I have for myself. So, for example, presently, I've been sharing and speaking into the grief journey of losing my brother. There's been moments in time where I've woken up and I've just felt so heavy inside with emotions, so sad and frustrated at the same time that I am having to cry again when it's very exhausting to release all of these emotions. I want to be happy. I want to be moving forward. I want to be living my life. But those of you who experienced grief know that grief has its own schedule that it works with. And that's been part of my self-love journey through losing my brother, is being okay with however long this takes. Being okay with however long it takes for Zoe to feel free from the heaviness that arises within the body. And I know in other chapters of my life, when I've navigated challenging times or have risen from the rock bottom, I've seemed to have set expectations for myself. Just like this, losing my brother, it's still very fresh. There seems to be expectations that I placed on myself, like I should be over this by now. I should be through this. I have cried enough about this. I should be healed. Basically that should implies guilt, okay? And guilting the self is not loving the self. So being okay with however long the journey takes is a very big key in acceptance, of course, but just that allows for a sigh of relief, a relaxation in the process of evolving, of healing, of becoming. And with that, I want to say too, you don't have to be fully healed to be worthy. You don't have to be fully healed to be worthy. Okay, so understand that no matter what you might be going through, it doesn't mean that you're not worthy of happiness. It doesn't mean that you're not worthy of abundance. It doesn't mean that you're not worthy of love, etc., etc. I shared in a recent podcast episode that one of the lessons that grief has really integrated for me is that two things can be true. I can be deeply heartbroken that my brother is no longer with us, and I can also be incredibly happy, fulfilled, and excited about living in Mexico City with the love of my life. Okay, two things can be true. And understanding that even though I'm going through the most challenging chapter of my life, I'm still worthy of love. I'm still worthy of abundance. I'm still worthy of joy. I'm still worthy of happiness has been huge. So you don't need to be fully healed to be worthy. Self-love is coming home to yourself again and again, over and over. Sometimes it's a moment-to-moment thing. Sometimes it's day by day. But self-love is honoring yourself, coming home to yourself, connecting with yourself on those deeper levels, and honoring your own needs. So let's get into some tools now for rebuilding from the inside out. I've got 3 tools for you, and I've got 2 resources. So the first tool here is nervous system regulation. So going through trauma of any kind can really shake up our inner world, can really shake up our nervous systems. So what I mean by that is having a greater awareness of when you know that the body is experiencing tension, maybe a shortness of breath, a tightness in the chest. Understanding when the body is experiencing fight, flight, or freeze, when it's experiencing a type of response that may not necessarily match the environment. I know that through losing my brother, processing shock has created these different moments of processing the pain or the loss all over again. This happened a lot more at the beginning of the journey of my brother not being here. But I'll give you an example here. I'm thinking of it. So one of the first conversations around my brother's ashes sent me into a type of anxiety attack. Not something I'd experienced in a long time, but it was this resistance in my own mind to accepting that my brother was gone, recognizing him as a physical human walking around on this planet, and then imagining him as ashes. It just felt like way too much for me to be having that type of conversation. It was almost like a, what? Like, sorry, what are we talking about? What are we discussing right now? It was a moment that felt like a big reality check, but it hit me all at once. And so in that moment, it really required me to separate myself from the conversation and provide myself with some nervous system regulation. So things that have supported me is placing my hand on my heart and breathing in deeply. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, hold for 2. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And repeating that. That breathing method, 4 counts on the inhale, 2 counts pause, 6 counts on the exhale, signals to the body that it's safe. So sitting down in your bed might also remind you that you're safe. Being in an environment that feels overall safe, secure, comfortable to you can signify that you're safe. EFT, emotional freedom technique tapping, is another way to release any of those stored, stagnant, uncomfortable emotions that are arising. So when and if the body becomes triggered into fight, flight, or freeze through the process of healing through trauma of any kind, remember that the power is in recognizing, oh, my nervous system is experiencing something right now. It may not be matching the environment, but something has triggered me. What I mean by it may not be matching the environment is like, it's not like you're being chased by a T-Rex or something. It's just the fact that my nervous system has just been lit up like a Christmas tree. That's my notification to stop, remove myself if I'm somewhere where it's feeling a bit chaotic or it's a conversation that I don't feel comfortable with, and tending to my own needs. The next tool I have here is narrative healing, which can be so easily done in your journal. So a couple of prompts I have here, very simple, but can inspire a lot of growth, healing, and reflection, is what did I learn to believe about myself because of what happened to me? So in the example I mentioned of previously being in an abusive relationship, what did I learn to believe about myself because of what happened to me? Naturally, over time, being unworthy of love was something that I felt was integrated over time, somewhat subconsciously. That was rising to the surface. That's just an example. But then a second question here is, what do I now choose to believe instead? I choose to believe that I am inherently worthy of love, and I can't wait to experience the best, most beautiful love of my life. Or I can give the example here. What did I learn to believe about myself because of what happened to me with my brother passing away? For a little while there, it felt like, I don't know if I'm somebody that can trust the future, because I fear that something like this will happen again, right? There's a part of me that was very resistant to that aspect of life. What do I now choose to believe instead? I choose now to believe instead that I am deeply supported in the life that I lead. I'm deeply supported by my brother as my guardian angel, and I'm deeply supported by God as I navigate this new territory in my life. And I believe that beautiful, abundant things are still going to happen. So narrative healing is essentially showing yourself what you might have believed or allowed in that you're no longer going to tolerate for yourself, that you're no longer going to allow to exist in your internal world. And then choosing a new reality, new stories for yourself that ignite that path of love and light for you. The third tool I have here is inner reparenting. So essentially this is speaking to yourself internally with compassion. So reminding yourself, I am safe now, I've got me. It could even be doing a bit of inner child work, like potentially a meditation where you imagine embracing a younger part of yourself that maybe didn't receive the love and support that you desired to have when you were younger, right? Maybe there's a memory that comes up that feels very traumatic to you. And just thinking about that younger version of yourself, maybe it's 6 months ago, right? Or maybe it's 6 years ago, or maybe it's when you were 6 years old, right? Just imagine yourself sitting beside that version of you, giving them a hug, embracing them, and just sending them so much love that can go a long, long way. And that integrates the next level of magnetism in general is what I'll say. When you invite different parts of yourself back in, let them know that they're safe, it's just magic happens, miracles happen. Miracles are something that I believe in, and I know they happen every day. And I encourage you to take on any of these tools that felt like they might be supportive for you. I also mentioned that I have 2 resources for you. So I have 2 courses that will support you in your healing journey. They're different. They have some similarities. The first one is Opening Your Heart with Rose. And this is a journey into self-love and healing with the magic of rose. So plants are a big part of my journey. They've been a big part of my healing journey. And rose has a ton of beautiful physical properties that can support your physical body, spiritual properties, emotional support properties. Rose is phenomenal for your nervous system. So Opening Your Heart with Rose is a guided plant medicine dieta. So that is when you make a commitment to yourself and to Rose as a teacher to start to ingest this plant, this beautiful flower, into your life and invite it to teach you lessons. This course is I would say it's the course that I receive the most feedback on, like life-changing feedback. People come to me all the time about the magic that they experience with Rose, the incredible transformations, the mystical experiences that they've had. There is a special kind of power with that course. If you feel drawn to Rose at all, it is incredibly healing. The second resource that I have is a course of mine called Metamorphosis. This is a course on self-love and healing in regards to the relationship you have with yourself and others. It's about aligning with unconditional love. It's a course to turn insecurities into inner security and create a love life that truly resonates with your heart. So both of those will be linked down below if you are interested in taking this journey to a next level. Of course, you can always work with me one-on-one too. I love working with you guys. And the next part of our conversation here is that I just want to remind you that no matter where you are right now, you are not broken. You are rebuilding. You are becoming the most beautiful, vibrant, magnetic, incredible, strong, powerful, successful version of you yet. Sometimes life knocks us down, but it's only so that we can get up stronger. And I know that I know how uncomfortable it can feel. I know how deeply sticky things can feel when you're rearranging things on the inside. But I just want you to know that you are becoming the greatest version of yourself yet that you've ever seen, and that so much freedom is on the other side. And something powerful that you can try out after you listen to this episode today is just take a moment to visualize your future self. Maybe imagine them walking into the room and just seeing what they have to say to you, right? Asking them for a message, tuning into that aspect of the quantum field, if you will, and connect with your future self. And I guarantee they're going to say something to you like, oh, it's going to be better than you can imagine. Oh, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be, just so magical, so juicy, so incredibly, amazingly fulfilling and awesome. And a couple affirmations that I'll leave you with today is, I am safe to be me. I am learning to love myself more each day. My past does not define my worth. I am safe to be me. I am learning to love myself more each day. My past does not define my worth. So, if you enjoyed this episode, please let me know. Share this with anyone you feel it could support, and just know that I'm sending you a huge hug no matter where you are in your journey. And the links for my courses will be down below, as well as May Magic. If you're ready to dabble into some one-to-one coaching, I would absolutely love to work with you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.